Hey mamas, welcome to another episode of Confessions of a Small Biz Mama. My name's Kristen Ingram. I am a small business owner. I am a mom of a little. I'm a wife, and I am just here, just like you, trying to thrive in this crazy world. So the goal of my podcast is to help you kind of clear through the clutter, help you focus on the things that are most important, and help you run your business better. Whether that is as a bookkeeper, as a virtual assistant, as a store owner, whatever you're doing, if you're providing services or you're providing products to people. And listen, I think a lot of people, they kind of shy away from, oh, I'm not a small business owner. But a small business owner is anyone who owns or who has less than $25 million in revenue every year. And that's the vast majority of individual businesses in this country. So I hope you'll come along with me today we're going to discuss retirement plans. So I hope that you'll come along with me and learn about that. And I think that this is a really important topic because women generally do not save enough for retirement. So what happens is we either rely on our husbands or our spouses to save in their retirement plans. And then what happens is when we retire, men typically die a lot earlier than we do. And so they use up a lot of the financial resources, and then we're kind of stuck. And so I think that this is an incredibly important topic for women to start thinking about. And listen, these plans are super easy to set up. You can set them up pretty much anywhere. But today I'm going to cover the 3 questions that you need to ask yourself when deciding to set up a retirement plan. And then we'll talk about the different plans that are available to small business owners. And then I'd love, any questions that you guys have. You can always submit those questions at askkristen.net. That's askkristen.net with 2 I's. And we can do follow-up Facebook Lives and all sorts of other stuff. But this is a topic that I think that a lot of bookkeepers need to know more about and kind of help kind of direct their clients and push their clients, ask their clients like, hey, are you saving for retirement? Because I think a lot of small business owners, they just kind of think like, oh yeah, I'm just going to sell my business someday. And to be quite honest, the value of your business is really you. And a lot of times when we remove you from the equation, your business isn't worth a whole lot anymore. And so I want you to be saving as much as you can to make sure that you are financially independent in retirement. So one question I get a lot is like, okay, so like, where do I go to set up a retirement plan? So a lot of these plans you can either set up yourself on like an online broker, or you can go to a broker like an Edward Jones, Raymond James, any of your like local brokers. You can typically find a broker through the Chamber of Commerce. That's why I really love local networking, because a lot of times you're also networking for services for you as well. And listen, I am not a big fan of giving like one recommendation. Typically when I would do recommendations to my clients, I would give them like a pool of recommendations, because I don't believe that there's one financial advisor for each person. You need to find somebody that is going to help you answer all the questions that you have, make sure that you're comfortable with what you're doing and what they're doing. And so I think that it is important that you interview a lot of people and you find somebody who makes you feel comfortable. Because if you are investing a significant amount of money, which in some of these plans you really can, I want you to be comfortable with the person that's helping you manage that. So, you're going to want somebody, if you know about this stuff, like if you know about investments enough to be able to pick the investments, then that's awesome. Set it up yourself and roll. But if you're not, then I really encourage you to find somebody who's going to walk alongside you and really help guide you through the process. Okay. So, all right. So let's talk about retirement plans and what your options are. But first, let's talk about the 3 questions. So the 3 questions I want you to think about as you are going through plans. So the first question is, how much do you want to put away? Not just today, but how much do you want to be able to put away in the future? I would be thinking for at least the next 5 years. Okay. And the reason why I think it's important to be thinking like 5 years out is because you don't want to have to keep changing plans because your income and your contributions are going up. So I think that it's important for you to think about like, okay, what are my projections for my business over the next 5 years? And I know some of you aren't really thinking about that, but I'd like you to consider where you want your business to be in 5 years and what type of money you're going to be making if you get your business to that point in 5 years. Okay. So the second question is, are you going to have employees in the near future? Because the reason that it's important for you to answer this question is because for some of these plans, in order for you to put away a lot of money for yourself, you have to put a lot of money away for your employees as well. Okay. And so if you're planning to have employees, then you're going to want to tailor the plan that you have so that you're putting money away for your employees, but you're not putting away a large percentage of their salary. Okay. And we'll talk about that as we go through the different plans. And then the last question is, do you want to pay the taxes now or do you want to pay the taxes later? So there are two different types of plans when we talk about retirement. There are what are called traditional plans. And with a traditional plan, you get a tax deduction for the contributions now, but then you're going to pay ordinary income taxes on those when you take the money back out. With a Roth style, and only some of these are available in Roth. I'll tell you which ones we go through. But for the ones that are available in Roth, you don't get a tax deduction now, but you put the money in and it comes out tax-free at the end. Okay. And so really the difference between the two is what you think your tax rate is today versus what you think it's going to be in the future. Financial planners used to think that people would be in lower tax brackets when they retired. And what we're finding is that's not really true because a lot of people, they haven't paid off their house. They still have car payments. Some people still have student loans. People's cost of living is just not dropping significantly when they go into retirement like financial planners thought it would. And so we're seeing that people are kind of in the same tax bracket that they were in. So for you, you really need to consider like, okay, am I in a really low tax bracket right now because of my kids, maybe because my business is doing okay, but it's not making as much as I want. If you're in a lower tax bracket now, then it might be a good idea to pick the Roth option. If you're in a really high tax bracket and you think you're going to be in a high tax bracket, or maybe you think you're going to be one of those people who will pay less in taxes in retirement, then maybe going the traditional route would be better for you. So it's really important that you talk to your tax advisor. None of this is tax advice. I'm just doing this for education. But it's really important that you talk to your advisors and get clarity for what works best for you before you set up any plan. Okay. So we're going to go through the commonly used plans for small businesses. We're going to talk about, as of right now, what amounts you can put into the plans. And I don't see anything on the horizon that's going to vastly change these amounts anytime soon. Right now in Congress, the Congress is pretty evenly divided, which means there's not a lot of legislation that's coming out. So I don't think we're going to see big sweeping changes in any of these numbers. Okay, so the first option, and this is the one that I think a lot of people are familiar with, is the IRA. The IRA is an individual retirement account. There is a traditional option and a Roth option. This is a personal plan. This isn't considered a business plan. So that means that if you set this up, you wouldn't have to put money in for employees. The issue with the IRA is that you can't put a lot of money into it. So an IRA is capped at $6,000 per year, and that's the amount for 2021 and 2022. Now, if you're over 50, you can put in an additional $1,000 in per year. You can set up this plan so that you're doing regular contributions into the plan, so you don't have to like come up with $6,000 or $7,000 in April. You do have until the date that your taxes are due to make the contribution. So if you wanted to, you could put in, you could make regular contributions every single month. And then if it's, you know, if you don't hit the max, you can shore it up before your tax returns due. And it's the due date of your tax return or any extensions, or when you file your return, whichever is earlier. So if you extend your return to October 15th, but you file in July, then the payment would be due in July. Okay. So that's an IRA or Roth IRA. Those are super simple to set up. You can set them up pretty much any brokerage, any online brokerage, anybody that sells securities can help you set that up. You can also set them up with your bank. Just don't invest them at your bank, because your bank is only going to do CDs and stuff. So you want to make sure that you've got more options than that. Okay. The second option, and I love this for small businesses because it's kind of a nice bridge between, you know, an IRA and some of the bigger plans. This is called a simple plan or a simple IRA. And this is a business plan. So if you had this plan, you and your other employees could put money into the plan, and then the company also does a match. The match is 3% of salary, or a max of 3% of salary if the employee puts money in, right? Or if you put money in, or you can do 2% of salary for all employees. Okay. It just depends on, you can pick either option. I like the 3% because then my employees would have to put money in too. And if they don't, then I don't have to match their contribution. But it is a great thing to be able to offer as a small business owner, and it doesn't cost you a ton of money. Basically the fees come out of, like, there's a fee for each employee account. The employees pay those. It's usually anywhere between like $20 and $40 a year. So it's not a ton of money. There are no tax returns you have to file for the plan. It's just super, super simple. For the simple plan, each employee, including you, can put up to $13,500 away per year in the plan. It would come out through payroll for your employees. And if you're a sole proprietorship or a partnership, you could either make regular contributions to the plan, or you could make your contribution. You typically want to make your contribution by the end of January, and then you could do a matching contribution by the date your tax return is due. $13,500 for 2021, $14,000 for 2022, and there's also a $3,000 catch-up contribution that you can make if you are over the age of 50. Okay. This does not have a Roth option. Okay. Everything goes in for taxes with this plan. But like I said, it's called Simple Plan for a reason. It's just like setting up an IRA. It's really easy to do. There's not a lot of fees. It's a great option for small businesses, especially if you're trying to, entice people to come work for you. Right now, it's really hard to hire employees. They're looking for more benefits, and this is a great, easy benefit to be able to offer. The next option is a 401k or a Roth 401k. So 401ks, again, work via contributions out of payroll. If you are a sole proprietorship, you can make regular contributions to your 401k. There's actually there's a plan called a solo 401k, which has fewer requirements and it's less expensive to run. But 401ks typically have higher fees. So typically the setup fee for a 401k, I see the fees usually $500 to $1,000 to set up, and then another $500 to $1,000 per year for a small 401k plan. but you can put up to 19.5 for 2021 and 20,500 for 2022, plus a $6,500 catch up if you're over the age of 50. So that's a huge amount. So you're talking like $26,000 for 2021 that you could put into that plan if you're over the age of 50, right? So now we're starting to get into big numbers. And then with the employer match, and again, you can kind of craft how you do the employer match for a 401k. You can do anywhere. You're probably hearing my son laughing in the background. So you can do no match. You can do a 2% match. You can do a 1% match. You do 3% match. Some businesses will do 50% up to 6% of salary, right? So it's kind of the same as the 3%, but the employees have to put more money in to get the full match. There's also a profit sharing option where you could do up to 25% of compensation. Like I said, with a 401k, you can pretty much pick any percentage. But the total max that you can put into that plan is $58,000 for 2021 and $61,000 for 2022 plus the catch-up amount. Okay, so now we're talking like really big dollars that you can put away into some of these plans. But in order to do that, in order to hit those big numbers, you have to have really high compensation, right? Because the maximum that you can match is 25% of salary, right? So in order to get up to those, that $58,000 number, you need to have a salary that is approximately $200,000, okay, to get up to that number. So that's an option. And then the last option for small business that people are using is a SEP. Okay, a SEP is a simplified employer pension plan. This has the same max numbers as the 401k, but all the money is put in by the employer. So $58,000 for 2021, $61,000 for 2022. And this is basically like a profit sharing plan. So you're putting away up to 25% of the employee compensation and your compensation. So your compensation would be your profit. So you put up to 25% of your profit away if you're a sole proprietorship, but you have to do that for all your employees as well. And they don't have to put anything in. Now you can set the percentage every year. But like once you get locked into that plan, like you've got the plan and you can't put money in for you unless you're willing to put money in for your employees. So SEP is only a good plan if you have a highly profitable business and you want to put that money away for your employees as well, then that's awesome. Go do it. If you don't want to do that, then you want to avoid SEP if you're going to have employees, just because the employee contribution can get very large very quickly. Okay, so I think that is a great way if you're going to be solo and you have a very profitable business, then a SEP could totally be the way to go for you. Okay. So again, and there is no Roth option on the SEP. The only two that have the Roth option is the IRA and the 401k. I don't necessarily see that expanding anytime soon because, the government, while they like getting the tax money right now, they realize there's all this money in Roths that they're never going to get taxes on. And so the likelihood that they're going to expand the Roth option is not very high. Okay. But you do have those two options. You got the Roth IRA and you've got the Roth 401k, and the Roth 401k still allows you to put a ton of money away. Especially if you take that solo 401k option. Okay. So I know that was a lot of information really, really quickly. So listen, you may want to go to smallbizmama.com for episode 75. We're going to have all the information summarized there. So that way you have it. And If you have any questions at all, you can leave them on the site. You can go to askkristen.net. You can message our page. My page is All Kristen Ingram on Facebook and All Kristen Ingram on Instagram. And again, that's Kristen with 2 I's. Okay. So I hope that you found this helpful. I hope that you're going to start thinking about retirement and what you can do for retirement to, make sure that you've got the funding that you need. The earlier you start, right, the more you're going to have at the end, but it's never too late to start. It's better to start late than not start at all. All right, mamas, I hope you found this helpful. Please, please, please tell somebody about this episode. Like, if you know anybody that is confused about retirement, let them know that this episode is available to them. All right, I'm going to go check on my husband and my son because I think they're having an awesome time out there and I'm missing it. So I hope you guys have a great day. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Small Biz Mama with Kristen Ingram. If you'd like to learn how to create more margin in your life, please visit us at smallbizmama.com. That's smallbizmama.com.